And now I got you on Memory Boulevard. You're thinking about the hard times and the wandering in the wilderness and the journey and the suffering of 2011. And you're wondering and you're thinking about the economy and the downturn of everything and it crazy as it went. But now you're in a new year where a perfect government of God can come into play and set everything right in your life, and the enemy wants to wipe out the promise in your mind. But I still see God doing what he said he would do. He made it so to the place where you would have to know that God is the one that's going to make this thing happen, and it would not be about you at all. But I just need to know, how good is your memory tonight? If the enemy just wipe you out, or put enough haters around you to drain you dry from your thinking of the promises of God, or do you still have something in your spirit that believe, I know what God told me, and I remember very clearly what he said he would do for me. As my days are, so shall my strength be. No matter how long it's going to take, God will give me the power and the strength to endure to the end. It takes the man and the woman to be hungry for God and hungry for more from God. You have to have a hunger and thirst for God to feel something in your life. And Caleb kept this hunger alive in him for 45 years. I can't talk about that enough. 45 years, he did not let it die in his spirit. He kept it on his mind. He kept it on his mind. And one thing about the beautiful blessings of God, when God speaks something in your life, he'll keep you alive. God, he will keep you alive until he brings it to pass. You're not here in 2012 because you were careful and you were so nice, a kind, a holy, a saved, a righteous. God spoke something in your spirit, and he's got you on his spiritual keeping line to make sure he brings to pass what he said he would do in your life. If you didn't want to be blessed, you should have never got saved, because God says, I will bless you with the fruit of the ground and the fruit of your labor. I will do more for you than you can ever ask or think. He said this thing was so alive in him that it came the day when the blessings start going out. See, the thing that brought me to this text, people start coming to church with new cars. And I have a few people that visit the church and they drive Rolls Royces, if you know what that is. Anyway, they drive Lamborghinis. And the people in the saints start getting upset, thinking the pastor went out and bought a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini. I said, not yet, but listen, but as they start seeing the cars and seeing the blessings, I walked outside one day after church and walked out early and said, well, they kept all these new cars on this parking lot. I said, let me see some of these new cars. Beautiful Mercedes and Jags and 2012. I said, well, Lord, if you're blessing, let me call to remembrance what you promised me. God, can we touch people here? Can you just tell yourself, I want more than a car. I need God to give me more than a car. I want more than a house. Somebody said, been married, done that. I mean, I want to do that again. But listen, I want something greater for my life. Amen, amen, amen. Caleb said, listen, God told Moses, and Moses prophesied to me. How many of you have been prophesied to? Isn't that something? It's a fearful thing when they prophesied to you. I wish they told me the whole story. God's going to bless you, but there's a whole lot of demons trying to come take your life. God's going to make you above only, but there's a whole lot of folks trying to pull you down. God's going to raise you up, but there's a whole lot of folks trying to just bring you right back down. Tell me the whole prophecy and make sure I have protection along the way. Come on, give God a praise for Bishop Boy Smith coming in. Yeah. Bible says in verse 10 here, and he says, and now. Somebody say, and now. It's almost like he had a snap into it moment. I need somebody just to just have your mind snap into it. Bring it back into a mindset that you know what God told you. Nod your head at me and say, I know what God told me. Somebody got to be blessed in this last hour. The church has so much to do. We need somebody for God to have a download from heaven upon so we can get the job done. Caleb said, now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive. I don't understand how he did it, but I'm glad that he did. I was in the same wilderness with a whole lot of folk. I was around with a whole lot of people whose houses foreclosed on. They lost a lot of things, but God kept me alive. I was around a whole lot of folks that was testifying long and loud, and they ain't here no more. But God kept me alive. I was in the place where people were seeing things take from them. Sadness was hitting everybody's life, but God kept me alive. See, everybody come to church and alive. Can I go ahead and preach it here? There's some folks that come to church and they're dead. But tell yourself, I'm alive up in here. I am alive. You ain't got to ask me to praise and ask me to jump. I do a flip. If I stay quiet too long, they might bury me. So I plan to be alive. devil did everything he could to make me backslide and go back and give up. But God kept me alive. Raised 3 kids by myself, but God kept me alive. Sickness and got well, but God kept me alive. Barely making the rent and trying to keep the lights on, but God kept me alive. Couldn't give a tithe, so I gave an offering, but God kept me alive. Didn't have a song, but I had a praise. God kept me alive. Couldn't get my hair in, so I put it back in one ponytail, and God kept me alive. Couldn't get a shaver, so I shaved myself, and God kept me alive. I'm not where I want to be, but I thank God I'm not where I used to be. God kept me alive. He kept me alive. He kept me alive. And living is what I'm going to do. I believe I'll live while I got a chance to live. If I die, I'll die another day. But while I'm alive, I'm going to live. When God keeps you alive, you can't let folk that don't like you try to kill your spirit.